A Ghostly Haunting in Hven, Chapters 16 and 17. Chapter 16. The key was in the ignition. For a brief moment, I'd been worried that Dad had taken his keys with him. When we're at home or out somewhere, he always locks the van and takes the keys. But other times, if we're somewhere he's sure the van won't get stolen, he'll leave it unlocked and the key in the ignition. Are you sure about this? Angela said, closing the passenger door as a blast of wind sent a burst of snow into the van. It swirled like confetti for a moment, and then the door was closed and the snow settled. The winter witch snarled and hissed outside beyond the van, and we were safe inside, away from her prying, chilly fingers. Sure, I'm sure, I said. Now, let's see. I reached out and turned the key. Instantly, the engine flared to life. The headlights turned on automatically, illuminating a churning wall of white snow in front of us. Put your seatbelt on, I said, and Angela did. I put on my belt and then found the automatic button on the side that moved the seat forward. I had to adjust it all the way up because my legs were much shorter than Dad's. Even so, I could barely reach the gas pedal. Ready? I asked. As long as you are, Angela replied. Using the lever on the steering column, I put the van in reverse, looking in the rearview mirror to make sure I wasn't going to back into something. I turned, stopped, and put the van into drive. How can you even see anything? Angela asked. I'll go slow, I said. I pressed on the gas pedal and the van inched forward. If the snow slowed us any, I wasn't aware of it. Of course, I'd never driven before, so I had no experience behind the wheel. The only thing I knew was that we were moving forward, and that was a good thing. Soon we were inching along the snow-covered driveway. My confidence started to grow. On the steering column, I found the windshield wipers and turned them on. They smacked back and forth as we slowly crept down the narrow driveway. And as we moved, I could feel the tires slipping and sliding. A couple of times the back end of the van twisted and fishtailed. Angela cringed in the passenger seat, gripping the armrest with one hand and the console with the other. Don't you think you're going a little fast? She asked nervously. I'm not going very fast at all, I replied. I'm being careful. When we get to the main road, Without warning, the back of the van slid violently to the left. I spun the steering wheel, but it had no effect. Do something, Angela wailed. I'm trying, I shouted. If you don't, I'm doing everything I can. Angela screamed, and I grasped and gripped the steering wheel as the van careened sideways out of control, heading off the driveway and straight for a clump of trees. Chapter 17. How the van came to a stop before hitting the trees, I will never know. I had panicked, and I hadn't even tried to step on the brake pedal. It was all too new to me, and when I lost control of the vehicle, all I could do was hang on. But I think it was the snow that saved us. The van was sliding sideways, and there was so much snow that it must have packed up and under the van, causing it to slow down. Just as I thought we were going to slam into the trees, the vehicle lurched to a jerky stop. The only sounds I could hear were Angela's quick, panicky gasps and the wind that gnawed at the exterior of the van. I can't believe that just happened, Angela said. I thought we were going to hit those trees for sure. Me too, I said. We are lucky to be alive. And I'm lucky I didn't smash Dad's van to pieces, I thought. He'd ground me until I was out of high school. But I quickly realized that we now had a new set of problems. Using the lever on the steering column, I put the van in reverse and stepped on the gas. The tires whirred and spun, but the vehicle didn't move. I tried putting it into gear and going forward, but the same thing happened. The tires weren't able to get any traction, and they just simply spun round and round. Okay, I said simply, now we're stuck. This van isn't going anywhere. Now what? Angela asked. I thought for a moment. We head back to the house, I said. Back to the house? I nodded and threw my hands up. We don't have another choice, Angela. The main road is still too far away to walk in the deep snow, and we can't stay in the van. But at least it's warm here, Angela said. Only while it's running with the heater on. Sooner or later we'll run out of gas, and as far as we know, there's no help on the way. If we go back to the house, we'll at least be out of the storm. We can wait it out. We can wait for someone to come looking for us. Besides, if we go back to the house, maybe we can find Dad's phone. Maybe he left it somewhere. If he did and we find it, we can call for help. Angela looked away. She knew I was right. She just didn't like the idea of going back to the house, back to the ghosts and whatever other horrors might be waiting for us. Hang on, I said, and I unfastened my seatbelt, crawled over the console, and scrambled into the back seat. On the floor was a black and red leather bag, a roadside emergency kit. It had been in the van as long as I could remember, but I didn't think it had ever been opened. I unzipped the bag and flopped it open. There was a whole array of tools and gadgets, just about everything you'd need for a roadside emergency. There was a small first aid kit, jumper cables, a flashlight, and a pair of gloves. I snapped up the flashlight and clicked it on, relieved to find that the beam was intensely bright, laser-like. Under the pair of gloves was a foot-long red tube that looked like a stick of dynamite. Danger was written on the side in bold letters. "What's that?" Angela said, peering over the seat. "An emergency road flare," I said, handing it to her. "Hang on to it just in case we need it for something." Angela inspected the flare for a moment and then rolled it over in her hands. "How do you use it?" she asked. "The instructions are printed on the side, I think." Angela examined the flare closer and then tucked it away in her winter coat. I climbed back over the console, sat in the front seat, and turned off the ignition key. The engine died, but the headlights remained on, illuminating the whipping snow. The lights would shut off by themselves. "Some day this turned out to be," Angela said. The wind was blowing so hard that heavy gusts shook the van. "Come on," I said. I opened the driver's door, slipped out, and battled the fierce wind and snow as I trudged around the van to the other side. Angela was just getting out, and she closed the passenger door. I clicked on the flashlight. The snow caused the beam to look like a brilliant white sword. Without another word, we began walking through the raging blizzard, through the deep snow, back to the house.